Okay, welcome to Mori, episode 40. I'm here with Gold Ninja.
Hello.
So, you are a translator in Japan.
Yes, that's right. I'm Gold Ninja. I'm lived in Tokyo for about 9 years now, and I work as a
Mm,
translator.
uh-huh.
Um, Mostly do boring business documents, but very occasionally I
Mm,
get to do some video game related stuff. We did sort of anime projects quite a while ago, and I do
mm,
quite a lot of stuff for plastic models and
mm,
figures, things like that. Some you
mm,
may have
mm,
heard
mm.
of, but I'm not really supposed to talk about the specific
Ah,
ones that I've done, unfortunately.
official stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously fan stuff like for Tower Dungeon, obviously.
Yes. Yeah. So I heard about Nihei Tsutomu a long time ago with Blame, but I never actually read it.
Mm,
But then one of my coworkers, Japanese guy in the office, he mentioned that Nihei was doing a new manga series, and I should check it out. So I did, and I really enjoyed it.
yeah, nice,
So yeah,
nice,
fully up
nice.
to date on Tower Dungeon, and yeah, trying
Yeah,
to help out the community a little bit with some translation for some stuff that maybe doesn't get translated. So
yeah,
the
no,
interview I
no,
did and
no.
things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we got a lot of interviews from magazines scanned in over the years that never got a translation, or just we just don't have anybody that can translate all that stuff. Just translate or any other site that can do the job. But yeah,
Mm.
not perfect. Like it works, but with like the interview with TD, it just doesn't pick it up really because it's the way you read it is a bit difficult for it to pick up. But
Yes. Yeah. The the vertical text really messes up the automatic translation, unfortunately. Uh,
mm,
In some cases, there's three columns, but instead of reading column one, column two, column three, it reads across the top of all the columns,
mm.
and then reads the second line of all three columns across. Obviously, the end result is a real mess involving, I think it was Lilisen's impossibly hard stone body was
Yeah,
one of the translations.
I mean, they're not
Yeah,
wrong, but
yeah. I mean, she's pretty tough, but yeah. So some funny things come out with the machine translation, and yeah, but
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
if we had nice clean text in a text file, the machine translation, as a translator, maybe I shouldn't be saying this. It's not really a good thing for my career, but machine
No,
translation is getting better and better. But
yeah,
there's
yeah,
still obviously things that it's not really good at yet.
yeah, yeah. Names, companies don't really. Nie or
Yes.
like Blum is always translated to Bram or Blum or whatever
Yeah.
iterations you can get to it.
Yeah, and you often see different iterations within the same document. So like it got it right
Mm.
once, but it doesn't get it right the second time, and then the third time. It's kind of crazy
Yeah,
how.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's always difficult, but if you read enough of it, then you know what it means and what you get out of it.
Yeah, you can
Usually, when
usually
I
guess.
Yeah, usually when I post interviews, Scanton like, "Where's the translation?" I use
Mm.
a translator, and they're like, "Nah, I don't want to do it. Get me a real translator." You know how hard it is to get one. Like they're not really that easily to get, or
Yeah,
are not around, or just don't have time, or yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yes, for my part, obviously it's my job for 8 hours a day, so
Yeah,
it
you the
requires a
second
bit of
nature to
motivation.
school.
Yeah, but it still requires that motivation to do it
Mm.
after doing after I've been doing the translation all day.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, 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 yeah. Then
so
you don't want
I
to
think
cheat for a while.
Yeah, exactly. So I tend to try and do things like that on the weekend after having a little bit of a break from the translation stuff.
Yeah.
But it's nice to do. Most of my work involves, like I said, business documents, quite dry and
Mm,
boring. So it's nice to
mhm.
do translation for things that are not only am I interested in, like the Tower Dungeon stuff, but also
Yeah.
it's typically it's more speech. If it's an interview, then the questions are often quite sort of formal and stiff questions, but the answer by the artist or whoever, in this case typically Nihei-san, he speaks in a more familiar, sort of casual manner, and it makes a
Yeah.
change to translate that kind of stuff from meeting results and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more casual about it, about everything, and like, yeah.
Yeah,
And over the years, he wanted to translate. Make everything a bit more easier for the readers to enjoy and whatnot. But
yeah,
some things have been too easy. Like with Kaina, for instance, is like too goddamn easy. It's a nice watch, but it's like it's not. Yeah, it's not really
yeah.
up there.
It's not really as deep as some of his other stuff, I guess.
Yeah. Like yesterday, like I made with another guy on fan website for Nia's works.
Yeah,
And then yesterday I was working on the biomech explanation that the guy explained on the server. So I put the
right.
whole thing out, and it's like putting these images up is like putting your nuts in a vise. Really, it's just try to put everything on the same level, and you try to. Um, you just need to eyeball it just to get everything just lined up, and it's just
Right.
really annoying. But it worked out in the end. I got the whole thing down, so people have
Yeah,
more to
looks good.
read about an explanation for the smaller works, or like your more condensed works that
Yeah.
need but yeah. I mean, if it was like 10 volumes, then it would probably have more, room with it to really fit it in. But
Mm,
you can't really go that well with it. But oh well.
yeah. So what did you make this in? Is it WordPress?
Yeah, it's WordPress,
Ah,
WordPress
okay.
versions. Like it's really unstable. If you just make a few updates or anything, then something can go wrong, and the whole thing just crashes altogether. And then you're just hoping and praying you get the site back up and that kind of stuff. But yeah, if you don't
Mm,
have money and not have the means to have a real .com, then
mm.
you're stuck doing this, I guess. But
Yeah, I mean it's popular for a reason. It's easy to use, fairly straightforward.
well, easy. It's
Easy to
cheap
get
to use.
started.
Yeah,
I
you
think it's
get
easy to get
started.
started. Yeah,
Like you have a site. Like
yeah,
it is viewable, but easy I wouldn't call it.
yeah. Right.
But yeah,
So
sites like these have like interviews, inspirations, games, mods, whatever I collected over the dumb years myself,
right.
obviously, whatnot.
So these interviews, are these all in English or are they scans of the? Oh, I can see some are French, for example.
Yeah. A lot of them are Japanese, obviously. Some are
Mm.
French, some are Italian, some are
Ah, okay.
English. Like those are the main countries that these interviews come from. Really, it's like
Right.
not a lot of interviews from like Germany, or not a lot of like any other countries. So it's like any country that sells them has an interview from them. Like
Right.
sometimes, but not always. Like.
Okay.
And it's also harder to find interviews from like the early days, so like 2001 to
Yeah.
1999. That's really difficult to find. It's
When
like
was when was Blame originally published? Was it like around the 2000s?
the Takamon, you mean? Original
Yeah. When?
volume?
Yeah, the original volumes. Yeah.
1989, the volumes were published, and in the
89.
magazine,
Oh wow.
1997 in March.
Right.
That's
That's pretty
just
old
as
then.
old as me, so like 27
Oh,
years back was published.
right.
I
Okay.
know it by date.
You were born to read it.
Yeah, I was born to read it, basically. Yeah. It's like really, yeah. And yeah, I've been just, buying his interviews, getting them in, trying to
Mm,
get it as clean as possible, and put them on anywhere really, Reddit, Twitter, anywhere I
right.
can put them on, than just one side, or else I'm just kind of stuck on the
Yeah.
same thing all the time. But yeah, and some
So
interviews are more.
do you have a
Mhm.
lot of these magazines in like physical formats?
Yeah,
Ah, okay.
yeah, a whole row of those. Just
Right.
anything. Obviously, I also buy them online. Just I
Mm.
mean, like the digital versions, so I don't have to use up space that much because these things take
Yeah.
a lot of space up to really
Mm.
get going. But and then you have like pictures are like kind of difficult if you work with like 300 dpi to scan stuff in, but you
Mm.
now have like 600 dpi, but it takes slower, so it gets really on your wrists to hold it down all the time, and obviously on
It's a hand
consistency.
scanner.
Yeah. You
Right.
just use a normal scanner like a printer scanner combo,
Right.
just a normal one, just to get the job done. And then some free tools, even Paint works to delete some stuff or just erase some stuff, or like
Right.
I only use free tools really to get the job done. But it does work eventually. Like and some interviews are really hard to get. Like from 2001, Anglem, that was like one of the first festivals he ever went to. Was really hard to get. So you really
Right.
need to go to the country to find these interviews sometimes. Like I was on vacation in Italy, and
Mm.
suddenly I find a magazine that has just an interview with him in it. So I'm like happy to find that, and
Right.
you know, just to have the whole thing in one go. It's not this
Right.
interview, but like it's
Yeah.
nice to have it because you get new drawings in it, you get
Yeah.
extra info in it, you get photos, you get how the event was back in the day, you get this, you get that. It was really
Yeah. I
nice
think
to
often they reveal some information that sometimes perhaps they didn't intend to reveal, but sometimes this you get that little sort of hint of extra info. Can be
yeah.
pretty good. I think like oh, I'm not going to remember. Am I? I've forgotten. Yeah, so there were some artists recently said that. Okay, I remembered. It's Watanabe Shinichiro, the guy who did like Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo,
hmm
things like that.
hmm
He recently said in an interview that he considers all of his works to take place in the
Connected.
same universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, things
Yeah,
like
I
that
also
would
saw.
be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I met Nie, and he said to me like,
Oh,
I asked him if all the universes are connected. Oh, we'll tell that in 10 years, while laughing. I'm like, yeah, sure, buddy, sure,
okay.
sure, you are gonna.
Once
Like,
he's decided, I guess.
yeah. I mean, like in Sidonia, it's already like Blame in itself is like shown as a movie there. Same for Biomech, but I'm like, what about the OF Industries? Where's that going to? Some people think it's just like just reuses the same company over and over again, but it doesn't have any kind of connection. But then you
Mm,
have the connection between Aposimus and Sidonia with a ship that called the Aposimus, real
mm,
short into the manga and an anime, then disappearing suddenly, and then showing up as a separate work again. Like,
yeah,
that's an idea. So it's like
yeah.
stuff like that. Just
It's
you
hard
know,
to know for sure with it's like just reusing the same imagery with no sort of canon connection, or if they truly are like fully connected. And I think for a lot of creators, and particularly like Nihei, I think he enjoys, this is my opinion, but I think he enjoys not being specific. I think he enjoys
yeah,
leaving it to the readers to make their own decisions.
yeah, to keep the mystery up, kind of like.
Yeah.
Yeah. You kind of has that. Yeah, like for Abra, there's like no TOEF industries in it, and he has nowadays also no clue why he did it like that way. So that has
Mm,
no connection to it. But then the destruction of Earth in like Biomecha and Sidonia are totally different. But TOEF industries is still in there. How does that work?
yeah.
They go to a wormhole and then there's just another world or some shit like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's kind of baffling how the did at all really to make it work. But
Mm,
I'm still reading it, so it
yeah.
can be that.
Exactly. Yeah, I think the interview that I translated from Annan, like one of the big things he talked about was the idea of like little by little revealing sort of some more secrets, but at the same
Hmm.
time like adding some more potential secrets and never really sort of telling you the full answer, I guess, until the end of the story, and like he sort of is implied that he enjoyed keeping. I'm going to say stringing along, but that has a negative term. But like keeping the user sort of not the user, sorry, the
Engage.
readers,
Yeah.
interested with little hints and things like that.
Yeah. Cliffhanger every chapter to keep you reading,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah. I mean, like last the I think 113 now, right, for Tower Dungeon, but the one before that
Yeah.
was like quite a cliffhanger. But then this time with what's her name, Aridelia.
Yeah.
Like the cliffhanger
Wow.
there is pretty crazy,
Yeah. You think like, oh no, she's just a cute knight, and then suddenly you have that. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't know if I like that, but hey, it's
yeah,
Nia, so it kind of makes sense for him to do that, obviously.
yeah.
The
It's
weird
the
stuff going.
unexpectedness makes sense. I don't think any of us saw it coming though.
No. Like, and it's also weird that they put it in Anan, which is just a random
Yeah,
magazine for like lifestyle for women. Like, how many fans that like that have that one magazine gonna find that? Like, how many gonna do?
I
Nobody.
really
So,
like it really confused me as well, because yeah, as you said, it's like a women's sort of fashion and lifestyle magazine. I haven't particularly read it, but like I see it on the shelves, obviously in the combini, like around,
mm,
and I never noticed on the covers like, oh, we've got an interview with this manga artist or a special on that manga artist or this. I've never noticed it. Obviously, I'm not saying that it hasn't happened because it might have done and I just didn't see it, but I've never seen them even mention manga at all. And in particular, Nihei, I mean, I'm not saying, let's be clear, I'm not saying women shouldn't read it or anything like
no.
that, but it's certainly, it's targeting a young male audience, I think. Obviously, everyone's welcome to
Yeah.
read it and enjoy it as much as they wish to, but it's very surprising to see in Anan, of all places. Oh, you
Like,
had a snicked up on the screen there for a second. I realized
yeah.
recently that I actually have back in the UK at my parents' house. I have the snicked comic.
Ah, the
I
original one.
never sort of connected. Yeah, I bought it at the time, like weekly
Ah.
in the comic shop, but I never sort of connected that it was Nihei-san until just like a week or two ago.
Oh, really? Like,
Yeah, I don't really remember it, but yeah.
yeah, it was an interview for like 2003 in like Superheroes magazine or something like that. And
Okay,
yeah,
so
recently, like last year or something, he put out an all-in-one edition, like this yellow edition, and that's also his black and white pages that he did
okay,
before it got colored in. But sadly,
okay,
like these ones, for instance, and these ones didn't get all in there. Sadly, like I would
uh,
probably buy it still if the whole thing, the whole story, but then just in black and white without the text beyond that. And you have a
mm,
thicker book and it's also costing more, but I would buy it. Like then we
yeah,
have more, but we never saw these images before because there's no expos showing it. There's nothing. It's just in here. For instance, in magazines like this, it's being shown, and
right,
beyond that, nothing else. So
right.
it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's like you'd think. I mean, Wolverine is obviously it's a pretty popular character, and his
Mm.
comics are obviously popular. And then back at that time, sort of around the early 2000s, again, Marvel uh, was doing well within the comic book world, if not so much. Obviously, they didn't have the movies to the level of
No,
popularity that we have
no,
now.
no.
But
It was the early days for that.
yeah, but it was still very popular. So you'd think there would have been more of a thing of it. Like in my memory of Snicked, I didn't even remember that it was done by a Japanese artist.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, it looks so Western. It doesn't really look that Japanese.
yeah, exactly. Like I never connected the two, and I would have been studying Japanese at the time. I think 2003. Yeah, it was. I
Mm.
was studying Japanese, so you think. I mean, I probably at the time I noticed that it had a Japanese artist name, but my memory like completely forgot that aspect of it. So
Mm, mm.
it's yeah, it's interesting that there's not as much. I don't know what to say. Like there was more of a big deal made about it, and like more Like you said, the original black and white artwork. I think particularly now, because manga is very popular, even like as opposed to comics. I mean, like Japanese manga is very popular in America and
Yeah,
England and Europe.
yeah,
Releasing like a special edition, black and white sort of manga style of the Snicked comic, I think could do quite well.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah. We just, obviously the black and white passage he has is obviously a lot of white in it because it had to color it in, so
yeah,
you
yeah,
don't get the full Nia experience, but still, it's still art that we've never seen before.
yeah,
And
exactly.
in 2001, when he was in Angoulême in France, back in
Mm,
the day, Marvel approached him and talked about him to do skit with them to get really a work going. And then a few years
yeah.
later, this came out eventually.
Right.
So
So that's how it happened then. A meeting in
yeah,
France.
yeah, and saw it in an interview, like an early interview from like 2001 or so, oh no, 2002
Uh,
maybe, like back in the
cool.
day.
Um, just out of interest, where are you from? Whereabouts do you live?
Netherlands.
The Netherlands. Okay,
Yeah,
there we go.
yeah, I'm Dutch.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so most of my podcast episodes need to be in English, or else we're gonna have a problem. Or it needs to be
Yeah,
specifically everybody needs to be Dutch, and then we can have
yeah,
something. But that's gonna get kind of rare to really get going. But
right, yeah,
you know,
yeah. No,
yeah,
so I'm actually I'm half Greek. My father
mm,
was a Greek man, and to be honest, I'm no offense to the Greeks, but I'm very glad that I grew up in England and was able to be a native English speaker because, for better or worse, it is the language of the world. I'm not saying
yeah,
it should
yeah,
be,
yeah,
but
more
unfortunately
universal.
that is the fact. Uh, and I often think like there's a few different decisions by my parents. I could have grown up in Greece and not really spoke English very well. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, I never come in Japan to translate
yeah,
for
yeah,
them. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
There's very little demand for Japanese to Greek translations.
Yeah, no, I can
Like
imagine that being a real
I
thing.
don't think we've done like any in my company. I mean, we do obviously the most of what we do is Japanese to English, English to Japanese. But yeah, I don't think like I've never heard of us doing Greek ever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess some anime have been subbed into Greece or something back in the day,
Mm,
but can't be really sure. I mean, there has been anime being subbed into Dutch or even being dubbed into Dutch, but then we're talking
okay.
about movies. But
Right. Yeah,
it's
I mean,
kind of
there's
rare.
obviously there's some need there, but probably not enough to support. Like for example, my company dedicating sort of a department to being able to handle it. Unfortunately,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think we've done Dutch occasionally. I seem to remember that coming up.
I mean, yeah,
Obviously,
you
I
have
didn't
like
do
a
it.
400-year history with
Mm,
us, so it kind of makes sense.
yeah,
We did great, so
yeah. I think a lot of the medical terminology used in Japan is actually from Dutch. So, like the pronunciation is probably not right, but for example, in English, what we would call a plaster cast. For example, if you break your arm or whatever, you break a bone,
mhm.
the cast, as we would call it in English, in Japanese they call it gibbs, which I believe is from
Ah,
Dutch.
yeah, yeah, hips, yeah, 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 yeah. That is Dutch, yeah. Huh,
And I
weird.
think what was the other one? Like karte. Again, I don't know how exactly. I'm probably saying the pronunciation is horrible, but in Japanese they call it karate. It's like the form which you write a medical chart.
Oh,
So,
karate.
like
Yeah,
in the
no, that
movies,
doesn't
they
really
hang it on
ring
the
any
bottom of the
bells.
bed.
No, because I guess
Yeah,
too much change to really get anything.
yeah. Obviously, it was
Yeah,
a long time ago as well. Yeah, but
yeah.
quite
I mean, I
quite a lot of
remember.
medical words. Though.
Yeah, I remember for Summer Blue, they actually had an episode with Dutch people came in there. It's like Dutch samurai or something came into the scene, get
Okay,
the Dutch chief back. It's like a whole
right.
plot thing. But
Okay.
that really sounds really flat. Doesn't really sound like anything like any talent behind it because there's not that many voice actors,
Yeah, yeah.
in the Netherlands nowadays. And back in the day, we had some, so you had some talent in there, but not that much anymore. Oh well.
Yeah, I think it's common for like any non-English language, but even for English, if they have an English speaker in Japanese anime, they often just get a Japanese person to do it, and it's
Yeah.
unfortunately not that great.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. Like, we
I wonder
also had
how.
one.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
We also had one for Bravely Immortal was like one episode. It's like a really tall, broad Dutch guy
Right.
trying to kill somebody or something, but he has like the most meek voice you can think of for like the biggest guy ever. It's like it's really weird to find to have that combo, and nobody there understands what they're saying. And I'm like, hey, wait, that's Dutch. That's weird. Yeah, something like that.
Right.
But
Cool.
yeah,
I think.
with like somebody like I don't know if you know the anime man, but he made like a poll for like the best anime in the world, or like the what people think is the best animator of all time, or something like that. So you have like per country trying to get one thing straight. So you have like the
Right.
usual stuff. You Attack on Titan, you One Piece, you Hunter x Hunter, you Gintama, you ta 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 ta. But
Mm.
some still surprise me, like Russia, for instance. It's like what was it? Mushishi?
Oh,
I
really?
swear they had Mushishi on there, but I don't remember. Yeah. Top three underrated anime Mushishi. It's like okay, like in any other
Wow.
country, it doesn't have that really. It's just kind of weird. Like sometimes, it also has another lists for like each country what they liked, and it was also
Mm.
really different. But I don't know. It's just like Japan, for instance, is also not that interesting, I guess. It's just like also Attack on Titan, One Piece, Steins Gate
Mm.
still high, Bebop still high.
I'm
Uh,
guessing this was a questionnaire in English. Yeah.
yeah.
Because in my experience, like nobody knows about Cowboy Bebop, unfortunately, here in Japan.
Mm.
Obviously, the hardcore anime
Sneaky
fans, I'm sure,
Western,
would know of it. But like when I came to Japan the first time in 2005, it wasn't too long after Cowboy Bebop, right? I think Cowboy
Yeah.
Bebop was like late 90s. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I didn't meet a single person who had heard of it. And for example, all the
Mm.
toys and figures and sets were like in the bargain bin. I remember getting Spike Spiegel for 100 yen,
Ah,
like a Spike Spiegel figure. Yeah,
wow.
he was just like in a bin next to the register, like with a bunch of other sort of junk characters.
Nobody wanted it, huh? It's
Yeah, I
way
was
too
like,
Western for him.
I couldn't believe it. I asked the woman at the counter, like, "Is this really 100 yen?" And she was like, she looked at it and she clearly didn't recognize who it was, and she was like, yeah." I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll take
Like,
it
oh
then."
yeah, it's just some rando that we have. Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah, exactly. I was surprised and disappointed. Let's say.
Yeah. It's kind of weird that it's that high up, but here nobody heard about it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so I mean, yeah, maybe just not really the Japanese have answered these, but like everybody that's English in there has answered it.
Yes,
Probably that's
I think
probably
so.
what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
So yeah, it's not a
yeah.
real list of like what they like and what they don't like. You will probably get way different answers out of that. Just like looks all too Western to be
Mm.
really a thing.
It's nice to see Violet Evergarden on the list a few times.
It's also kind of weird. So, like it was a pretty anime, but I'm like, I don't think award winning at all, but you know,
Yeah, like I enjoyed it, but I felt like one, it sort of left some things unanswered a little bit, and the world was a bit strange because it seems to be like quite a I don't know. It's not it doesn't seem like modern. Like they don't have like the internet and like cell phones, right? But then
no, it's
they've
like
got
the
these
early
robotic
20th
cans.
century or something, like after
Yeah,
World War One or Two or something like that. That kind of period that we're aiming for.
yeah. But then they've got like mecha hands that are like more developed than
Yeah, it's a bit more
we have.
steampunky combo with
Yeah,
like future tech and old tech bit combined. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of weird.
But yeah, I mean, it was absolutely gorgeous. I'll give it that. The animation was absolutely fantastic. Obviously,
Mm.
Kyoto Animation uh, doing the good work there.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Three worst animes like X Arm, Sword Art Online, Pokemon Pico, like for the memes, obviously, but like
I don't
X
know that
Arm,
one
yeah,
actually.
yeah. I
X
mean,
Arm?
yeah. Have you watched it at
No,
all?
I've not heard of it actually.
Oh, it's a really weird. It's really bad CGI anime. I don't know how they got that. I got greenlit and another shows don't. But it's like in a way.
Right.
Uh, X Arm.
I'm just looking it up briefly in another tab over here.
E.
Well, the pictures I'm seeing on Google is a girl in kind of like a swimming suit type outfit. So I'm guessing that led to
Yeah,
its
it's like any
popularity a little bit.
animation is just really, really, really bad. It's like what you would see at a high school student or something, or like you know, or something, for some project or something. Where is it?
Mm.
Yeah.
I can kind of, even without seeing it in motion, I can. Yeah, I've got the same image of the with the on the left on over here, and yeah, it just looks really like poor quality CG
Yeah, yeah,
animation.
yeah. Like, the weird thing is, like, every other character, almost every other background character is 2D, but then you have a 3D character in front of it. So it's just really weird
Yeah, like
nonsense they
I
used
think
to.
if they're gonna do the 3D, they have to kind of go all in. Like
Yeah, yeah, and
everything
not
has to be the
one
3D.
character 3D and then just the rest 2D. That just doesn't
Look,
work in a world like that. Like how the yeah. I mean,
yeah.
it also did the same for like oh, what's it called? Goblin Slayer. Yeah, for Goblin Slayer, like
Mm,
one character was 3D, the main character, and all the others were 2D. It's like it just doesn't work. Like the animation was a
yeah,
bit better, a bit more standard, but like it just yeah, and the explosions also really weird, and like movements for action sequences also really slow, jagged,
yeah,
whatnot. Yeah, it's just a weird time all over.
yeah. I don't really like. I mean, on the one hand, obviously the 3D animation must be cheaper for them to use
Yeah,
it. I mean, that's got to be the reason. But like again, I don't see why they do it. If go all in, have a visual style.
yeah,
For better or worse. I personally don't like it, but like if you look at something like Appleseed, the more recent Appleseeds that use the 3D CG style,
yeah,
at least it's consistent and it like has a visual unity. It
yeah,
looks
yeah, yeah, yeah.
intentional.
Yeah, it looks more gamey though. It looks more like a game
Mm,
company was like making the action sequences and like the animation sequences because all the action sequences look more like cutscenes, for instance. And
yeah,
then when they're stationary, you see them like from a top-down perspective. Like you're gonna see like move A to B to move around and
yeah,
interact. Like that kind of mentality was behind it, and it's just an actual anime. Like, yeah,
yeah,
also Appleseed from like 2003, and that animation was also, very 2003, not the best
yeah,
animation. It was also pretty bad nowadays, but like pretty good back then, I'm pretty sure. But
yeah,
eh, like it ages like old milk, so it just doesn't really work altogether.
yeah,
So
yeah. I think the other thing is like I don't think it's the 3D sort of techniques for creating sort of pseudo 2D animation using 3D. It hasn't really like improved significantly since those early like 2000s stuff like Appleseed. I think like the stuff now is the same sort of level, and it's like it.
mm,
That's also strange to me that they haven't really like this 3D style animation hasn't really got any better.
mm,
I
I
mean, there's some
mean, no.
improvements, but not a lot.
I mean, yeah. It just depends on what studio you use, really. It's like the
Mm,
studio really changes things up on like how stuff moves. I'm like, I think for Appleseed, really like a game studio took control of it. But like, if you take like Land of the Lusters, for instance, that was a really well done animation, but it didn't feel like a game, for instance, or
Right.
like it was way more dynamic. You saw way more clean movement in there, and it's just
Mm.
really. Or for Trigun Stampede, for instance, if you've seen that, it was also pretty good
Right.
for animation, obviously, but like for like the main character and all that stuff, it just felt more smoother than like back in the day, you could say, like.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Or
think
for
you're
China,
probably right there.
for instance, like China, that studio is just like for 40 years already in animation. They first worked for like background stuff in 3D, like
Right.
games and other animations, and then later on they went on into real animation, and even the background characters have like individual movements. So that was
Mm.
also a lot different than you see. So it just really depends, like how long a studio has been working with 3D and how good it actually becomes. Obviously, you have your shit shows like Berserk 2016,
Yeah.
2017. Like that's really
I've been trying to watch
bad.
it, and it's hard work. Just recently, I've been trying. I thought I'm going to finally sit through it and watch it because people. The story is supposed to be good, even if the animation is terrible. But it's really hard to
Yeah.
push through.
Yeah, no, no, no. It doesn't save anything to get anything good going.
Yeah, I think you highlighted one point, and it's the movement. I think that always lets down the 3D CG stuff. If the
Mm.
movement is off, then yeah, it kind of loses.
It's
It,
a feel, yeah. And some studios don't use like the background characters, for instance. It's just like stagnant, just doing all
mm,
the same thing and nothing anything else. And other
yeah,
companies like the animation in here for kind of looks a lot different than for X-Arm or for like other animations from like back in the day. So it improves, but just yeah,
I think like they could do with. In fact, I remember seeing there was a Kickstarter or something for like a home motion capture, and it was like relatively cheap for motion capture. Obviously, not like it was still like a few hundred pounds sort of situation. I don't know if that means
Mm-hmm.
anything to you, but it's still quite
Mm.
expensive, but not not impossible for a small studio. Um, and I think they would probably all benefit from motion capture for some of the things.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
a lot of it's they look like they're animating like stop motion plastic figures. They're quite sort of robotic, and which I think it works for like the Blam, the robot characters and things in Blam, for example. It works quite well for them, but the human characters obviously look a bit robotic in
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of series.
really robot-esque.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Blade movie was not my favorite really. It's just like,
mm,
we finally get something in emotion after like decades of like
yeah,
just OVAs and whatnot that they could really get their hands on. But yeah, you know,
yeah,
obviously they had to change a lot of things. Like Kitty's GB is used as a laser, but how else would you show that in animation, something like that? So that's pretty difficult to
yeah.
do. And it's
Yeah,
not
I
as
think it's
experimental as
it's kind of too
original.
powerful, isn't it? Really, once you convert it to animation, it can kind of
It was just it was just like
yeah,
a real game, just too many characters on the screen, and the whole thing was just jitter and stack, and it just kind of funny if they actually did it or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
It was like looking up another 3D animation. It was so really weird. It's like in 3D animation for if like movements like stop no not stop motion, what you call it, chat VR, for instance, like that kid stuff people use, like your normal Oculus consoles. The people try to use their
Mm,
try to make their animation with that kind of stuff. It just does not work. And
Yeah,
with AI, they try to make it. It's really, really weird.
yeah.
Like, drives me
It's like
crazy.
unsettling. You know, if you're making a horror film, I think it would be great. But
Yeah, yeah. If you really make something uncanny, then it kind of
mm,
works, I guess. But yeah,
like
it's just
I
really.
think you probably know the film. Oh, I think it's called. Oh, I can't remember the English title. It's something like Noise or Interference, but it's a live action horror movie. Um,
Hmm.
Signal. God, I can't remember now. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'll get to the point. Basically, in order to get the sort of when the monster, if you like, comes out, the way they got it to look so weird and uncanny was they had the person walk backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So the actor would walk backwards away from the character, and then they would play it forwards. Rather, they
Mm-hmm.
would play that video in reverse, so the character appeared to be walking towards the camera, and it just looks so weird in a way that you can't quite like replicate, and you can't quite put your finger on it. You can't say why it's weird, but it just looks so
Mm.
sort of weird and unsettling. And that was one of the techniques they used for that. And I think the AI animation has that same kind of quality where you can't quite say why it's super weird, but it's just
Yeah,
incredibly
yeah. It just
uncomfortable to
looks
look at.
so
You know?
unnatural. You can't really. You never seen it before, really. So you can't really determine what hell you're seeing, basically.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have few games and shows like that that really try to get that thing, get that stuff
Hmm.
going.
Oh, it's called Pulse.
Oh,
That was what it was
Pulse!
called.
Yeah.
Yes,
I know. Yeah. The
I
ghost.
think that
Yeah,
was
I
it.
know what you mean. Like the like rooms that have been taped up with red tape,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
everybody that's been catched by a shadow, a ghost, turns into a shadow themselves and get
Yes.
incinerated.
Yeah. So the way that the shadow creatures move, that was the technique they used to get that weird look to them.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Like, yeah, it was kind of those movie. It's kind of like those atmosphere movies. Like the ghost
Mm.
is like everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's day, it's night, you're in a certain room or whatnot. It just comes creeping up to you, and you just never let you go. Basically, it's just
Yeah.
kind of that kind of stuff. It's not like jump scare and then nothing. Jump scare then nothing, or like some kind of safe room that nothing happens, or it's daytime and nothing happens. It's like no, the horror is
No.
constant and it's everywhere. It's like
Yeah. There's no
yeah,
escape.
yeah. Like, those movies really work well. Yeah, it's like the same for like Ringu. Obviously,
Yes.
it's more popular movie. Well, the Grudge movies made it more popular here in the West, but
Right.
it
Okay.
still did the same job altogether.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. We one of my classes at university was on Japanese film, and we had to watch a few of the horror films, such as Pulse
Mm.
and Ring and Grudge. Were all
Ah.
sort of required reading for the course. Good.
Yeah. Oh, lucky. We didn't have that back in the day. We just had like Dutch TV movies or something that nobody gave a shit about. So like that was really annoying.
Yeah, I also when I was a student in Japan, so we had like a 1 year abroad study abroad program, and
Mm-hmm.
one of the classes I took in Japan was all about Japanese yokai. Um, that was a really interesting class because in addition to like the traditional sort of yokai, that you sort of know about, it also we talked a lot about things like Ultraman, for example, the monsters that come out in
Mm.
Ultraman, and various anime and stuff like that that also have some link to the traditional Japanese ghosts and stuff. It was
Yeah,
a
yeah,
good fun
yeah, yeah.
class. Yeah.
Like Shinbai, for instance. What was the show again? It's like a more stop motion animation. It's like been going
Oh, I
on
don't
for
know
like
that.
40 seasons, and like it's also lots of ghost stuff, lots of yokai, lots of that stuff. Yeah. Also, Ghibli also used it a lot of his movies, like yokai and whatnot.
Yes, yeah, like Totoro is very much, yokai influenced. Not quite sure. Like he seems to be fairly good guy, but maybe you never know sort of situation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just a bit
It's-
more. But yeah, the guy comes from the Second World War, so a lot of movies have that
mm,
kind of theme, like Grave of Fireflies. Yeah, this
yeah.
latest movie has it too. Because in his past, like the boy in the harem, for instance,
Mm,
like in the movie, he has a dad that sells, that is the boss of like a plane manufacturer, and that, fueled the planes for the Japanese for the Second World War. And his dad was also a director for a plane
right.
manufacturer, so he put lots of these things in these movies. So yeah,
Yeah.
but
I
yeah, he
think
is that.
I remember.
大好きだったよ。
Oh,
Oh, oops.
I
Audio.
remember reading a quote from him saying with Totoro, if he'd made because his mother was sick when he was a kid, and if he'd made the two characters boys, he said he doesn't think like emotionally he wouldn't have been able to complete the movie. It would have been too difficult
Mm,
for him, and by changing the characters to the two girls instead, he was able to like get some distance and be able to finish the movie. But yeah, very influenced on his own early life. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, here's the animation. I mean, it's like just cheap motion capture that you see in games, and with
yeah,
AI used in between. I'm like, who's
well,
so, lazy enough to
yeah,
do this? Like, you don't need animators for it, but like it doesn't really, improve. And this was shown
yeah,
on a festival, and I actually got a prize for it. I'm like,
really.
why? It was
Just
sold for money. How?
this is an anime, right? Like an
Yeah,
animation.
yeah, it's
It's
an
not a game.
animated movie or something like that, but it's like,
Wow.
eesh.
Like it looks like a sort of indie game made by like a small
Yeah,
team. In which
yeah,
case you'd be like,
yeah,
oh
yeah,
yeah, they
yeah,
did
yeah.
good, right? Three guys made this. Oh, I'm impressed. But the fact that this is like a commercial animation is crazy.
Yeah, it's just like made with like a few people, and then people from Twitter they pulled for for the voice acting and all that kind of
Wow.
stuff. It's just like, yeah, yeah. It's obviously only shown in like festivals and nowhere else, because who the fuck
Right.
goes Disney TV or something like that?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't know why. It's like, you know, like sure for like maybe like a project for a university student, I can
Mm.
understand, but like for
Oh yeah. Yeah.
some something you actually pay money for, like, yeah, no, I don't think that will actually work at all.
Like if this was students, we'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm impressed. Well done.
Yeah,
Keep at it. But this shouldn't be the finished project of adult professionals.
yeah, no, 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 no. Like it's interesting to see the people try to make this, but it's like it just doesn't, it
Yeah.
doesn't work at all.
Like it looks like the sort of yeah, like I said, the bad cutscenes from an indie game.
It's like, yeah, they have their own site, they have the whole
Oh man, it's
production,
been shown
whatnot.
in the cinema.
Yeah,
Wow, in
yeah.
Shibuya.
If you Yeah, the few cinemas it's being shown. You could have watched
Wow.
it. You could.
Oh jeez, yeah. Like I could have got. Oh man. Well, I'm not worried about missing it though. I think I've dodged a bullet
No, no, no. I could have seen it. I mean, when I was in Japan, I actually saw the Mononoke movie. Thanks
there.
to be the research on your side.
Oh yeah, no worries.
So yeah, I mean, but that was 10 times better than this. Like, obviously, I couldn't really understand the whole story, but like, yeah, the animation just went wild with everything. And
Yeah,
the second one has been put up now.
yeah. Okay,
Trailer for the second movie that come out next year will come out, so that's pretty damn
that's
nice. I
cool.
mean, it would be 3 movies altogether.
Okay. Yeah, I think the first one has just come onto like either Netflix or Amazon
Yeah,
Prime here in Japan. So yeah, I'm gonna watch it soon.
Mm.
It looks like again. So let me finish with this because it's going to sound bad at the beginning. So the animation at first, it's not like traditional looking, right? It looks kind of weird.
Mm.
But I think what sells it is, like I was saying with the 3D CG stuff, it's fully committed to this style, right?
Mhm.
So everything matches. There's a unity to it. It's clearly not like they couldn't do it different. It's like they did it this way on purpose. It's intentional. It has unified vision to it, and it
Mhm.
looks beautiful as a result of that.
Mhm.
Um, even if it's sort of non sort of standard looking in that sense. It has that visual identity, and I think
Mhm.
the 3D movies, even some of the ones that maybe don't have the budget to do better, like if they sort of leaned into it a little bit more and like created like a unique overall like unity to the project, it wouldn't be too bad.
Mhm.
Uh, I think we could accept it a little bit more. And it's like you were saying, where like background characters are 2D and some characters are 3D. It just makes it stand out and looks, like shit, basically.
Mhm.
Um, it's if you look at something like Crayon Shinchan, for example, first thing that came to my mind is it's not like good high quality animation in that sense. It's kind of like
Yeah.
intentionally lazy looking and sort of scratchy sort of drawing
Yeah.
style,
Yeah.
but it's on purpose and it's unified. It's always like that. It's clearly intentional. I mean, like the early Crayon Shinchan, I think Production IG was involved. Obviously, they can create some of the best looking animation in the industry,
No.
but it looks Crayon Shinchan looks like that on purpose, and as a result, it works. Um,
Mhm.
I think that's some of the companies that are trying to they don't have the budget to do like good quality animation. I think they could get more out of the 3D CG stuff with if they sort of tried to make a unified vision for it a little more.
Mhm. 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 Mhm.
I
Yeah.
still personally don't like it, but I think it could be better. I think they could
Yeah,
do
yeah,
better.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. And like with Mononoke, it's more like on this, like it's almost done on like a painting. It's like oh,
Yes.
this whole uh filter over it, like it's been drawn, like like you
Yeah.
would do back in the day in Japan with like everything. But yeah, like it's kind of weird that an anime like this still gets like 3 movies, all this merch. Like back in the day, it was
Mm,
just like on a horror anthology, and then one short was really popular. Then they made a whole series about it in
right.
2007. That was also not that popular. It's like almost nobody knew about it, and for years you
Mm.
don't hear anything about it. No production whatsoever, and then it's just suddenly 3 movies. Obviously for anniversary idea, obviously it's not just out of the blue, nothing, but still for something
Mm.
that like nobody hears about it or nobody does anything about, and suddenly you get a whole production out of it. It's like still
Yeah.
pretty cool, obviously, in that they keep the original style, just don't change it up too much
Mm.
in order to sell it. Although
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
American sale looks totally different than from the original, but
Ah.
you know, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. 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 It looks. I think it's the same with what's his name, Yuasa Masayuki,
Masaki
guy,
Yusa,
science stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Like it's the same for him, where his stuff has a very unique visual style. And at first
Mhm.
glance, you might think, "Oh, it's just not very good quality." But actually, if you look at it more closely, or only watch it for a few minutes, even, you see that there's something there. It's the
Yeah.
same, I think, with this. It's got like the unique visual style where you can see like a single frame from any sort of section of Mononoke, and you immediately know that it's from that movie, right? Any frame you take, you recognize it immediately. Uh, and I think to some degree, it's the same with like the Science Saru guy. It's pretty much spot it straight away.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like you see the like, mind game is also really experimental. You just have like animators come and
Yeah.
go, come and go, come and go for like every section. It's just this wild goose chase that doesn't make any sense, but it's just like you're just so intrigued by it. Though, like it doesn't
Yeah,
really
yeah.
work, especially his earlier stuff like the Time of Galaxy. Wakongo,
Mm.
nice short Wakongo. Then you have
Crybaby, I think.
Crybaby. Yeah, yeah,
Devilman
you also have
Crybaby,
that.
yeah.
Like characters really work in the show.
Mm.
Only the backgrounds don't really look like the part for his like his animation and his ideas on stuff. It's like mostly his older stuff. I'm really more a fan of more of a
Right.
fan. Like Kemozume also has the same style. It's like all these early animes. So like
Right.
or like anytime he worked with like the Tekken Concrete creator
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
with the ping pong the animation,
Yeah, yeah.
Inuo. That's like the last movie he actually made with the studio, and also that
Okay.
you know that was like a nice finish to his whole career in that studio. Like other
Mm.
series like Japan Sinks, for instance, was also just really rushed, didn't work. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, just another movie with like a girl, a swimming girl. Also, like, and also this Ghibli style to it was really childish. It's like, yeah, I don't know, it just doesn't really
Was that
work for
him?
the whole.
Was that I didn't realize that was him actually, yeah. I can't remember the name of it,
Yeah,
but I think I
mind
know the
game.
one you mean.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's
Wow.
it's like his first movie. It's like his first movie that
Yeah.
animated, directed, whatnot. It's just put everything into it. Saw it in the
Yeah.
cinema like not too long ago, maybe like
Okay.
this year actually. I think pretty awesome.
Mm. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Like, I think the first thing
Mm.
of his, like, I knew of ping pong, but I hadn't actually seen it. And the first thing I saw was what's it called, Tatami Galaxy, and like
Ah.
I had it on like it was on Netflix or Amazon Prime or something, and it didn't have English subtitles, and like I couldn't keep up with the Japanese.
Mm.
Uh, and then in the end, I like downloaded it from the internet with English subtitles, and I couldn't read the subtitles fast enough, in English.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It made
You
me
have the
feel a
same
little better,
problem.
you know.
Yeah, you have the same problem with the Tatami Galaxy. You have the same problem. It just speak really fast. You just can't keep up with it
Yeah,
for that kind of
I th-
stuff.
it's pretty cool though. I like it.
Mm.
Like, I think the problem with Tatami Galaxy when I try and like recommend it to people is I always say like you've got to watch 2 episodes. If you just watch one episode, it's not that exciting. But
Mhm.
you watch the second episode, and then it all starts to sort of click into place. Uh, and I find a lot of people they watch one episode, they're like, "Yeah,
Like not really my style. It's a bit too experimental to really
mm.
get going. Yeah, 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 yeah. I know what you mean.
Also, Kick Heart, that was his, wasn't it? It was
Yeah, yeah.
Kickstarted,
It
right?
was a short he did. Yeah, yeah. It's true.
Yeah, I kickstarted that actually. I
Ah.
contributed
Oh,
my
really?
$5 or
Yeah.
something to it. I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, for Abdul, it's better than the other 3D animated that was
Yeah,
sold at for festivals and whatnot. It's like 10 times better.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't know this Kemonozume. I've not heard of
Yeah,
it.
it's like his first animated series with he done with Science Saru, basically.
Right. Okay.
Uh, Like, yeah, basically it's about a group and an organization hunting demons, but these demons can also change into humans. And then there's a whole love
Okay.
drama of like a sort of like Juliet and Romeo story of like a monster and a human trying to fall in love. And then
Okay.
this whole goose chase ensues basically, and this whole drama, black comedy, whatnot, just this weird
Right.
story, basically. It's a wild goose chase. I would recommend it. It's like there's a bit of a Hollywood ending though at the very end, but it's a good show
Uh,
up till that. Really, it's like pretty well done altogether. So
okay.
yeah,
I have to check that out. I'm going to need a list after this podcast to write down all the things I need to watch.
true. Yeah, yeah. It's not. Yeah, I don't know. I watched a lot of stuff through through the years, but
Mm.
you probably don't have that much time to watch anything, I guess.
Well, I'm kind of lazy, so like
Ah.
if it's on Netflix or Amazon Prime are the two that I subscribe to, then I watch it. And if I have to like download it and then like plug my laptop into the TV, then
Mm.
sometimes that's a bit too much effort. I can't be bothered. Yeah, like so
Mm.
I used to watch loads of anime and stuff back in like the early 2000s, and then I moved
Mm.
to Japan in 2005. That was the first time I came here, and
Mm.
without going into too many boring details, but I was really poor for the first when I was in Japan the first like 18 months.
Mhm.
So like I lived like I did sort of couch surfing, stayed with a bunch of different people. So I never really had like good internet to be like downloading stuff, and I never really had like
Mhm.
TV to be watching stuff. So like when I actually
Mhm.
moved to Japan, I watched almost no anime for like the year and a half that I was first in Japan.
Mm.
Just you know, particularly like a lot of the anime that I liked wouldn't be on TV. It would be on like the satellite channels, which they're subscription based. So even if I was staying somewhere that had a TV, they typically didn't have the satellite sort of subscriptions. So I couldn't watch a lot of the anime that I was actually like would be interested in. So it's kind of
Mm.
like a
Mhm.
blank where I didn't watch a lot during that period.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's kind of
And now you
crazy
need
to
to
think.
keep up with it with them all again.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now,
mhm.
just got too much work and other life things going on to watch a lot of it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean yeah, I still watch anime myself. I mean, I watch like with like a festival, Kaboom Anime. So we watch like every month, like a movie, in, like or
Okay.
the cinema here.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
and like in the middle of Amsterdam, so that's pretty nice. Their goal is basically to put anime movies on that's usually not shown in the cinema. So no
Mm.
Ghibli, basically no what's it called? Uh, Ghost in the Shell or anything of like
Okay.
that. You
Mm.
know, so we've seen like stuff like Ghost in Shell 2, Innocence. That's the
Okay.
last
Yeah.
one I've seen. Like that's not that popular, not that well
Mm.
seen in general, or like Angel's Egg, or like
Okay. Yeah.
Attack on King Creed, that kind of stuff.
Mm.
Just like all the unknown stuff, or like
Yeah.
hmm, what's like other ones that been going on. Wait, let me get anime. Let me see what they have this year. Yeah, Boom Anime. So they have like 5 centimeters
Okay.
per second. So the next one we're gonna see,
Right.
Giovanni's Island from like 2014. Never seen myself. Get
No.
Express 999.
Okay. Yeah.
That's something I wanna see for some years now. I'll hold off on it so I could see it in the cinema. So you have higher
Okay.
resolution, bigger
Yeah.
screen. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I think when I lived in the UK, I lived in Leeds, and they had
Mm,
the like a film festival every year, and there would
mm,
always be quite a lot of anime stuff shown there. So I got to see quite a lot more of it in the UK again than I do in Japan. Um,
mm,
you know, again in Japan you get like the big movies obviously go to the cinema, but like to be honest, I was kind of surprised that Mononoke got to the cinema as it did. It's
mm.
typically like the latest Gundam movie, obviously like Crayon
Yeah,
Shin-chan, Doraemon,
yeah.
stuff like that. Not really my thing, obviously,
No, 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 no.
but got to see some good stuff at the cinema in Leeds with the film festival. Like obviously all the classics like Ghost in the Shell, Akira, things like that.
Mhm, mhm.
But I think like Millennium Actress by Kon Satoshi.
Ah, Stoshkon, yeah.
Yeah, like that was a good one to see in the cinema. Oh, what's it called? Ronin Z.
Ah,
Sorry. Yeah,
yeah, another one.
yeah.
Also,
Which was
by the
that was the first anime I ever watched actually. Like it was on
mm,
TV like years before, and I was watching something else, and like the adverts came on. I flicked the channels, and it had just started on another channel, and
mm.
I watched it all the way to the end. I never went back to the original program. Watched it all the way to the end, and then immediately
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
I
So
rented Akira on VHS the next weekend,
nice,
and
nice,
here I am.
nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, we're just somewhere. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, yeah, but like my first anime on TV was like, what's it again? A Shaman King. It's like
Ah,
sometimes it
okay.
would be shown, or like these, joint projects between like
Mm.
France, Japan, whatnot countries. You get these Moomins, obviously,
Oh
also
yeah,
made
yeah,
in Japan from the 90s, the anime.
yeah.
Like all these kinds of animes. But back then, I didn't really know it was anime. I just saw it as a
Exactly. Yeah.
cartoon or like an animation or something like that. And like afterwards, when I really went online to look for anime, I'm like, oh, this is anime. I'm like, yeah, okay, was like all anime, but I never saw it as like anime. Like lots of people
Exactly.
think
Yeah.
that for like after the last Airbender, like there,
Mm.
being a whole discussion like, is this anime? Is this not anime? Etc. Etc.
Mm.
Etc. So you see that kind of projects just going around on
Yeah.
TV or whatnot. I think sometimes also Dragon Ball or Naruto, but it was like or too early or too late, or I just never really saw it. Just saw like all the replays
Mm.
of like all the shows like Cat Dog or like Hey Arnold or that kind of
Oh
stuff
yeah, yeah, yeah.
from like the 90s, but then you see it in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I think like in same situation for me. So like, so I'm a little bit older than you, but like Transformers, the original series of that, I
Mm,
never sort of realized that it was like Japanese originally. Um,
mm.
I
Damn,
think
yeah.
like Dragon Ball when that was coming out, I sort of knew by then that that was Japanese, but stuff before that, like what was it called, Golden Condor, I think it was.
Mm.
Like that's a Japanese and probably Japanese and French series. I'm not 100% sure on that, so maybe we'll get some comments calling me an idiot for saying that. But yeah, it's definitely
Maybe,
Japanese.
maybe. Maybe. I
Uh,
mean, yeah, I was thinking about Golden Boy, but like, that would have
oh
been
yeah,
good for a kid to watch, but
yeah. Yeah, so like a lot of the stuff I didn't realize at the time was Japanese. So technically, like my first anime would have probably been maybe like Transformers or Thundercats, something like that. I guess I'm not sure,
yeah,
but
yeah, 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 yeah.
the first time I sort of knew that it was anime was Rojin said.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
And funnily
pretty
enough,
cool.
obviously you're from the UK, so you also know
Mm.
about Thunderbirds, which is also been
Yes,
in Japan.
yes, very
With
popular
like,
here. Yeah.
yeah, and it's also they made like in 2015 they recreated 3 episodes of Final, basically like those kind of podcasts, kind of episodes.
All right.
Recreated 3 new episodes, and then years later they brought it to Japan to show it on the cinemas and whatnot, and they've been all over the place. And I
Right.
saw it in the early 2000s, and yeah, but like
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just like one of those shows you still can watch as an adult because of all the models, all the
Mm.
background explosions, all the details they bring to the things, even
Yes. Yeah.
for the vehicles and whatnot. So it's like more like an you know, it's made for 6-year-olds, but still they put a lot
Yeah.
of work into it to bring it to life altogether.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's so my dad is a massive fan of like Thunderbirds and all
Ah,
of Jerry Anderson's works, and yeah, so like Jerry Anderson sort of came to Japan to make the animated series because he was a big fan. This is what I heard, that Jerry Anderson was a big fan of Japanese animation, and he wanted to,
mm,
and he knew that it was popular in Japan. So, like, it used to be very easy to buy presents for my dad because there would always be some. Thunderbirds or Stingray or one of the other series, like some plastic models I could buy and send to him. But I've officially sent him every toy available. Like he's got everything now. So Christmas is coming up. This is we're recording here in the 8th of December, and as usual, I'm stuck for a Christmas present to send him because
I
he's
mean,
got all the Thunderbirds already.
does he have all the episodes though? That's a
Yes,
sick
he
thing.
does. No, he's got them all. He's
Yeah, but
got like the original on VHS and then DVD. He's got pretty much everything.
But also have the new episodes on DVD.
I think he does. I think he got them quite recently, not from me though. But yes, yeah, he does. I visited
Oh yeah. The
earlier this
name
year,
was
and he
fine.
does have this one. Yeah, for
I
him,
mean,
he said he doesn't want to admit he likes it. Uh, he's always like, "Oh, the original was better," but he still
yeah,
watches it.
true.
He still watches the new one. So yeah,
Yeah, I watched like 2 episodes of this new one, but it's just I don't know, it's just kind of hit and miss with these things. So like they redid like the first episode for like Trapped in the Sky
Hmm.
as the second episode, but that was just all CGI. All the planes were
Right.
CGI, all the action scenes were CGI, but it just falls flat on its face. It's
Yeah.
just a whole different thing than the original. So like and it's just I don't know, it just makes it more childish, I guess. So it just doesn't really
Yes. I
work
think with
altogether.
the puppetry, you could kind of see the craftsmanship going into it.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
could, as an adult, I think that's the appeal for me at least. It's like, wow, how did they recreate that using the technology of the time? Um, it's like an element that you're sort of thinking about in the back of your mind as you're watching the originals. But unfortunately, with the CG stuff, it's like I'm not impressed that you made it fly. It's done in a computer.
Well, yeah, they mix it for like the new one. They mix it with like the old backgrounds, handcrafted backgrounds, and then CGI.
Mm,
So I guess later on it gets better or something like that. But I couldn't be bothered to be
yeah.
really going through all of that. But yeah, for Christmas presents, you have this one, the new episodes of
All right.
Thunderbirds 1965. It's like 3 original new episodes.
That would
And
never
they also
broadcast.
made a DVD on it. I also backed
Oh,
it, and I
wow.
got my things on the DVD, my name on the DVD, that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
cool. Mm,
So yeah, that's and it's also with original with like puppets being remade, models being remade,
mhm,
everything just remade because they also made a documentary about
right,
Thunderbirds like a few years earlier than this, like 2013, 14 or something like that. So
right.
yeah, it's like a lot of stuff. I actually bought like for the 55th anniversary, like a Japanese book in Japan for the Thunderbirds. So I have that kind of stuff now. But it's
Right.
also fun to have, I
Okay,
guess.
cool. Not
I
for
don't know.
Japanese fans. Oh, okay. No worries.
Oh,
Yeah, it's no. I was just going to see what it said. It's probably nothing too exciting though.
mm.
Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Uh, 日本語で載せません。Okay, so they basically said they're not like writing the information in Japanese, but if you have any
Ah,
questions, feel free
true.
to ask in Japanese or English, and we'll do our best to answer them. Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
And I'm guessing that's what it says in French as well. I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's basically just the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like the original finals that these 3 shorter episodes came on to because the original episodes were like 65 minutes or something like that. So
Oh wow.
yeah, so like one in the mountains, battle snowman, introducing Thunderbirds, like the beginning of it all.
Mm.
A robbery episode, so like you know, just all
Mm.
new stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Could be an
Yeah,
idea
I
for
don't know if he.
Christmas.
Yeah, I don't think he has this actually. Like, it might be worth looking into. Thank you.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's region free and all. Has like
Hmm.
a lot of stuff basically. I'm like, I think their site has still on. Is there site there? God damn it! Why is it so? Where is their site?
It's filmed in supermarionation.com, apparently.
Oh,
Is there a chat
yeah.
thing? Can I? Oh, hang on. The site's gone down. Okay.
Oh, sadness.
Yeah, the site's no longer up, so that's not the site anymore. Sorry.
Fuck. Let me see.
Oh, I see. So they remade the episodes based on the
Yeah,
audio recordings.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
So they
I
used
see.
original audio from there and then
Right.
filled it in with like all the material they already had and new material they made.
Right. I see. I remember actually, like this was a long time ago, but it was on the news that
Yeah,
someone had found all the puppets from Thunderbirds and like I think it was Terrorhawks. They found them
yeah.
in a dumpster behind like some building, uh, and it was it was it made it onto the news that these puppets were obviously very valuable to fans and historians of the series and stuff. Just found it in a dumpster for free.
Okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, I remember from the documentary that a lot of the models were destroyed in order to
Mm,
make new ones because they didn't have the room for it, and some of the puppets was like sold to collectors, like the father in the series was like sold in to a collector and it's just remolded and whatnot. I remember that
right.
kind of stuff. But yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
kind of weird that people just wouldn't really hold on to stuff or just try to sell or just try to put it in a museum or whatnot.
Yeah. Yes, I guess some people don't realize what they've got.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, I need to. So I read the Japanese. I've just realized I read it slightly wrong. It,
Oh,
it says there has the Japanese information at the bottom, and you
oh.
can ask questions. Yeah, sorry,
Okay, 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 okay.
that makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, yeah, thanks to COVID, they didn't really have any time to do it like in the year that they wanted to do it. Like in
Mm,
2020, they wanted to do it, so they just went downhill from there, basically.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, that's what I got when I clicked on the website as well.
Annoying.
Unfortunately, seems like it's gone down.
No, no.
Yeah, I might
So,
see if I can find
but yeah, you can find it
DVDs of it.
probably on your own. I mean, I remember there
Yeah,
being a site for them.
cool.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, for Mononoke, still need to watch it on Netflix on some site for the sub version, obviously, to have it
Mhm.
uh, fully on.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, probably not gonna come in cinema thanks to Netflix having the rights right now. So that's gonna be annoying, but oh well.
yeah. I
Can
think like
always
sometimes
survive.
they do release cinema and Netflix at the same time, but probably not for this one. I think,
Mhm. Mhm.
unfortunately.
No.
Yeah, I like on the one hand, whenever I see something is on Netflix or Amazon Prime, I'm like, oh, that's good. And then whenever I see it's on, like for example, Apple Plus, which I don't have, I always think, oh, that's really too bad. But
Mm.
it's the what's the word? Like it's the convenience is what wins these days.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's true. It's true. Everything on one platform makes it easier. Well,
yeah,
almost everything.
yeah. It's just the way things are changing now. It's kind of crazy. Like when I was younger and growing up, in the UK, you just had like 4 channels and then 5 channels on TV, and that was it. And it was
Yeah,
pretty nice and
yeah, I kind of
straightforward.
remember a time before streaming and all that. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
I remember having like 45 or like 30 channels or something like that. The majority were just, for ads or whatnot.
Mm,
But I don't know. It's just in and there was nothing like streaming. You didn't have
yeah,
cell
yeah,
phones. You didn't have any like thing like that. So you just like watched whatever was on TV or just
exactly.
the internet that would work. You just watch that or just have
Yeah.
VHS. I have tons of VHS still to
Mm,
watch. But unfortunately for those, like majority is just like kind of dead because I just play them over and over and over and over.
yeah,
So it's just like degrading over time, unfortunately. So
yeah, exactly. Is a problem with the VHS. Yeah,
DVDs
I
still
mean,
work though, if they're not scratched, but or
yeah,
just clean up a bit and then just work fine majority of the time. So I don't really have a problem with that. Or I
yeah.
just
I think
record it
like
over. Hmm?
technically, like the plastic will degrade over time, but I think it's sort of like 50 to 100 years, so it's not really something we have to worry about too much in our own lifetime. Whereas the VHS, as you said, the more you use it, the the worse it gets.
Yeah. I did record over a bunch of them on from VHS to DVD, but
Oh,
that recorder broke down, so we couldn't
well,
record the rest anymore. So yeah, it's kind of a pity, but
yeah,
you always have like the Internet Archive to find these kinds of stuff or like other sites or whatnot. So it's not too bad.
yeah. Yeah, I was quite worrying because recently, as you know, I think like the Internet Archive has been under sort of attack
Yeah.
online, and I don't really know the details, but I don't know. It seems like a pretty shitty thing. Like they seem to be doing good work, you know.
Mm. Yeah, they were like they were probably were hacked
Mm,
by some people. So the whole site was down, the archives were
yeah.
down, like everything was just down for days. And then they slowly got back up. But apparently their security was not that great. So it was
Ah,
really easy to get hacked in the first
right.
place for anybody really. So now
Okay.
I hope they, made some better security, get anti
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
And they don't
So
have obviously that many backers to fund the whole thing. So but it would be a real pity if it like all went down because it has
yeah,
so much stuff on there to to see, to record, to watch. Because there's no place else that really has a big archive or something. Like you have a few sites
mm,
that kind of do that, but they're like really limited and really easy and like don't have that much value to them to really get
yeah,
anything going.
yeah. I think
I
it's
did.
sort of important for sort of cultural preservation. Really, it's kind of crazy that it's not something that the governments of the world are supporting. Like governments of countries, they pay for libraries, right? Most libraries are, at least, in my understanding, like in the UK and here in Japan, like libraries are sort of like a public service, you know.
Hmm.
Um, so it's kind of crazy to think that the online version of that there's not some sort of I don't know, like global support for it, and as there is for a lot of other things. I
Yeah,
mean, I guess
yeah, yeah.
copyright is the issue, obviously, but it's a shame we can't figure something out there.
No. Like, yeah. I mean, different countries have different archive sites. Like for the UK, for instance, there's like a separate site for everything that's ever been put out in the UK has been archived
All right.
on a central database, basically.
Oh, cool.
Like, I think it was a government thing again, but I don't remember what. But it's just like everything, just the most simplest things, even you find in like your normal stores or whatnot, being archived there. But like Japan has also like a few sites, a few institutes that want to do that. Like, well, recently there was like what company was that again? That want to take over all the old tapes. old shows from
Yeah.
like 70s, 80s.
Yeah. I think somebody in the Discord posted about it. It might have been you, actually. Um, I did. Yeah, I did see that recently. And there's another place that's going to start. Yeah, it's got all the cell animation, right? The original cells. They want to start
Yeah.
storing and displaying it, right? Yeah. So I guess there's some work being done in that direction, which is good. And I know for video games, like I wouldn't say I know them, but I've met some of the guys that do a lot of the video game sort of archiving stuff in America.
Mm.
When they were when they visited Japan and stuff, I met them. I mean, it was years ago, but before they were really doing this kind of thing. But it's good that it's somebody's doing it.
Yeah. Like I remember, like one company was going out of business and wants to destroy all all the film reels, everything, old shows, and I'm
Wow.
like, well, that would be lost forever if that was the case. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
suddenly they're like, oh no, we're not gonna destroy everything, we're just gonna try to sell everything off. It's just
Right.
by popular demand, basically. It's just everything that has rights can be sold off, and then suddenly another company comes in and tries to save everything. But the humidity in
Mm.
Japan makes it a bit difficult for all the tapes,
Yeah.
for all the film reels to not have vinegar syndrome and other nasty problems that make it
Mm.
impossible to watch or to restore at all.
Yeah. Well, hopefully somebody can look after them properly and preserve them, or at least make digital backups that don't suffer from those problems.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Oh yeah. Uh,
I've just looked on the internet. Apparently, it's the UK one that you mentioned. It's the National Archives. Is
yeah.
the name of it? Yeah, I had no idea this existed, so that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, Japan to launch National Center for Manga and Anime Preservation. Yeah, this is the
That's
one
it.
that
Yeah.
the one to
Does
just
it say
archive everything.
where it's going to be? I hope it's near my house.
Named Media Arts National Center and to be value considers overseas to be physical. Set to open in fiscal 2028. The Japanese government.
Media Arts National.
Oh yeah, credits, Japanese
Ah,
news, Mori, Shimbu, file photo, visitors, 2009. Oh, that's, National Art Center in Tokyo.
okay. Well, I mean, it's not too far away.
No. No. Yeah.
Okay, that's not too bad. I have to go and check it out.
Yeah. That was like last time with like another guy that was had a big expo there. What was it again? Expo of Kenichi Tanami. Yeah, it was also really experimental collage artists. He worked for like stuff for like back in the day for like what's it called? What's it called?
I don't know it, I'm afraid.
Playboy. Yeah, worked for covers for
Okay.
Playboy. He did his stuff, and he did stuff for, and now and like for until a few months ago, he just made his own art. This is really experimental art.
Okay.
But yeah,
Cool.
yeah, yeah.
Do you know when this does it say when it will open, or is it already opened?
2028, they said.
Oh, okay, so quite a while in the future yet. Okay.
Yeah,
Right. Okay. Yeah, I just saw 2028 there. Right. Okay. I can wait.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Um, Hmm. Let me
So yeah,
see.
for future sort of purposes, if you have some interviews with some Nihei interviews,
Mhm.
obviously I don't want to like commit to doing all of them right
No,
now
no, you
because,
don't have
as I
to.
said, obviously, yeah, I got a lot of unfortunately boring work that pays the bills, unfortunately, to do as well. But
Yeah,
yeah, if
interviews
you want
don't
to like,
pay.
yeah, if you could like pick out some interviews that look interesting or something, I could maybe start doing them every now and again,
Oh,
sort of
sure.
contributing to that. Yeah, I can certainly do a better job than most of the machine translation these days. So
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, because a lot, yeah, like I said, a lot of them weren't translated at all. So like,
mm,
or just like Google Translate. So yeah, no, I have still have a few that could be quite interesting. Some are pretty lengthy, but it's like for all his works, obviously, or just
right,
select stuff, obviously. But no, I have still some stuff to show. Yeah, like
yeah,
from so many years to be translating. So yeah, sure, why
yeah,
not?
that would be cool to sort of slowly get working on those. And like I think I've mentioned on the Discord, but so the Japanese monthly editions of Tower Dungeon, for example, at the end of
Mhm,
each chapter, it includes like a section like, oh, will our heroes survive? What's going to happen with the
mhm,
necromancer? Find out next week, kind of thing. In a lot of the cases, it's not super important. There's not like new information there. But I
no,
have found there's been a few cases where there's some little bits of information are been revealed in those sections that's sort of not getting translated. So yeah, that's another thing that I'm sort of working on in my spare time is translating up each of the sort of chapter end sections, and also the tankobon has on the inside covers of the tankobon it has sort of text in there that's obviously not getting translated with the
mhm,
K manga releases as well. So
yeah.
I think like the one big piece of information, hopefully, just spoiler warning if you haven't read Tower Dungeon yet, plug your
Oh
ears for a
yeah, of
few
course I
seconds.
have. I'm up to that.
I realize you have. I mean, to our avid listeners. Um,
Oh, oh yeah, those exist.
yeah, but yeah. So, for example, the I'm gonna forget her name now, but one of the Dracomorphs who tries to fly up the tower and she gets taken down by a bunch of other dragons.
Mhm,
Um, I think in the English, if you just read the English version, you're sort of left not knowing if she's alive or dead. And the
mhm.
characters themselves sort of hint that, oh, she's a Dracometamorph. She's probably survived. She's pretty tough,
Yeah,
but
it
we
just
don't know for a
regenerates.
fact. Yeah, so we assume she regenerates, but we don't know for a fact. But in the Tankobon sort of chapter summaries, which we don't get in the K manga version, it
Mhm,
just says that she's severely injured, but that includes the fact that she is alive and she's definitely survived. So
mhm.
that was one of the things that
Mm.
made me realize there was actually sometimes some important
Things were left
information,
out.
yeah, that's sort of not getting translated because people were discussing it in the Discord, like, "Oh, I wonder if she survived," and I was like, "Yeah, she
Yeah.
did survive. What are you guys talking about?" And then I realized that that information wasn't in English. So there's little bits like that as well, which I think are interesting.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've seen also some bits and like at the last chapters or like the last page of every chapter, it's like, and our
Mm.
heroes go away and in this
Yeah.
drama, etc. And I'm like, okay, I can see why they edited that out because it's not that interesting, obviously, because it's just
Yes.
like the same thing for like every chapter. But like, if you have summaries and it just has a bit more information, like, sure, I can see the value to that, why you would want to translate that and put it in a
Yeah.
separate uh, thing for people to read.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
Um,
quite right. The chapter end ones are typically there's no like new information there, but the summaries they've clearly got a little bit in there. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, for interviews, like interesting would be like from Comic Cares. It's probably his very first interview from 1999 that I
Wow.
scanned in a while ago. and somebody else on the site in like 2000, right? Probably 1999, also scanned him, but not completely because they didn't have the space for it because it was 2000.
Yeah,
And well, AI can't really pick up this first page, for instance. That's pretty difficult to get anything
right,
from. So it's pretty difficult to get. I think it's probably his best interview, I think, because you get
right.
also his whole process of how he draws everything in. Like for this page, for
Mm,
instance, also in the art book for like Kitty, for instance, like he,
right.
grading everything, coloring every detailing. It's just really nice. Like Comic Cars was like one of the better magazines you could
Yeah, it
get.
seems like actually sort of cover his craft rather than just the end results. You sort of see the process in there. That's quite cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So
yeah,
if you want to if you send me that one, I'll sort of put it on the back burner and sort of do it little by little over the next couple of weeks.
yeah, sure. It would be interesting
Yeah, it's cool.
to
Is
do.
that is it Garo, Mark of the Wolves, on the front cover? I think from King of Fighters, right?
Yeah. I think I heard the name somewhere. Yeah, like they have a bunch of different magazine covers,
Right.
and also scanned in stuff from like his shorts from Akai Kiba. Don't know if you know that about, but it's just like from
Oh,
its
it's like an anthology, right?
yeah, anthology series of different authors. So like QSI that was in there.
Mm.
I believe the Mortal guy was in there. Nia, obviously. So he made a bunch of shorts like
Ah,
what
okay.
is it? Idaho, BBB, all these weird sort of stuff. It's like every document for like dumb everything really.
Right.
Uh, no, wrong one.
Secrets that.
Yeah, it's a bit all over the place, but yeah, you get what I mean, basically.
Yeah, yeah. No worries.
Mm, documents. And then sites. Yeah, here. It's like a whole list I made for like all Nie's works on
Ah,
alphabetical
okay.
floor. Year, places that it was made, like basically everything you can think of, it's
Wow.
probably in here. It's like all the interviews, like from the early 90s to, or like late 90s, I mean,
Mm.
till now, basically. Like year 1999, 2001, and then it goes all the way down to like now, basically, with the latest interview. That's like, if you really want
Oh,
a
and
list of like, yeah, where everything is basically like it is like the place to get all of it, basically, what I
right.
did over the
41
years.
pages.
Yeah. It's like it's a collection of like dumb everything that I found,
Right.
like in interviews, inspirations for games, interviews from other people that worked on this projects, movies,
Right.
scans, like reviews, sites. You have like sites for like. Have you ever seen Nie's first site?
No, I've heard about it, but I think it's down now, right?
Yeah, it's been down for like years and years. Like
Right.
we, and this is very first sites like from like 2000, yeah, 2003, 2004,
Wow.
around the time. So like, and it was the first time that like the first OVA came out from like 2003.
Ah, the web ones.
Yeah. That was the first place that it came out on. And then later
Right.
on, it got put on DVD because, the site wouldn't really survive that, so they put it on here.
Mm.
And they also made, for this site, made shirts and other stuff, basically,
Yeah.
and a lot of different stuff, basically. Just different shirts. So like, can see where it is, though. Mm, yeah. Yeah, t-shirts, for instance, and other stuff. These t-shirts, like in the bottom
Mm.
corner, like left corner, that was actually one saw line that somebody else bought, but didn't know what it was.
Ah, okay.
And it's got to be like really pretty rare find because I've never seen them anywhere
Mm.
else whatsoever. Like, and they never get reprinted because the site has been down
Yeah, yeah,
since for decades now. So like, there's no real reason to keep them up or for like
yeah,
rare posters from like 2000 when he was in Germany, for instance, or that kind of stuff. It's like all this weird stuff that you just can find somewhere at some corner of the internet, just lying
yeah,
there, like for like $300 or something like that. It's just
yeah.
kind of annoying to find it all in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think like if people know what they've got, then it'll be expensive. But I
Mm,
think what you probably also find is people like buy stuff like that secondhand without really understanding what it is. They just think, ah, it looks cool. Like one
mm-hmm,
example is I saw a guy on the train. It was a fairly empty train, and he was wearing, Kojima Productions.
mm-hmm,
Um, he was wearing a Kojima Productions with the Ludens character, the sort of astronaut-looking character, the
mm-hmm.
Ludonaut. And I was like, "Oh, hi." I just sort of went up and talked to him. "Oh, you're a fan of Kojima's works?" And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, Hideo Kojima." And he was like, uh, "I don't know. What do you mean?" I was like, "Your jacket?" And he was like, "Oh, I just bought it in the shop. I don't know what it is." And it was kind of disappointing. You assume he's going to
Yeah,
be like
yeah,
a big
yeah, yeah.
fan, but he's never even heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like if you wear a shirt of a band, and you're
Mm,
like, "Oh, you're also a fan of the band." No, I never heard of it. Who the fuck are
yeah,
those? And like
exactly.
that
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
recently,
Yeah. I
um,
know what you mean. Yeah. It's
like
also yeah.
heavy metal t-shirts are really popular right now, but I don't
Mm.
think many people are listening to heavy metal. I think it's just the t-shirts.
True. I mean, it's true. I mean, I do have a shirt from what's that shirt called again? Wait. Yeah, from
It's,
Acid Androids. It's also like a heavy metal
okay.
band. Like also that, but Nie made in 2016 for them a shirt, so that's why I bought that shirt. But I don't even
Ah,
listen
okay.
to it.
Right, okay. At least there's some connection there. You're not like, oh, what?
Yeah, yeah,
Ah,
true. I
it's
mean,
they're connected to Lac and Ciel. I see.
mm, also put it on Twitter, and that got me a lot of likes of that. Just for a shirt I just bought one time. It's like, yeah,
Right.
it's kind of nice to have, obviously, to
Mm,
have that kind of stuff going on. Maybe we can find it.
right.
Uh, wait,
Did you
that's
see the message on Discord just a couple of minutes ago?
Discord? No.
Yeah.
Hmm. Ah, yeah, it's like the majority of our streams are like 2 hours long or something like that. So yeah,
Okay.
that's not a problem.
Cool.
Uh Yeah, I guess we're done then. Well,
Okay, cool.
I guess we see maybe Millennium or somebody else or the other ones that we have each week, like next week or something like that. But
Yeah, cool.
oh yeah, that's in this episode, and we'll see you in like 2 weeks or something like that. Hope if they have time, but we'll see.
Yeah,
Bye
and
bye.
thank you for rearranging the time so that I could join.
Yeah. It's easier for you and then easier for me, so why not?
Okay, cool. Yeah, so
Alright.
thank you for inviting me. It was lovely to talk about all this stuff, and yeah, we'll have to do it again if everything works out in the near future. Maybe we can join again next time, or the one
Yeah,
after, something like that.
sure. Yeah, sure, why not?
Cool.
Yeah, alright. See ya.
Okay. Goodbye.